Well, welcome in everybody to the Denver Bronco Roundup podcast. It feels so good to be back. We're brought to you by Rocky Mountain Sports Network and sponsored by the amazing Morgan Trinkets. I'm Keith Brugman. I was out the last show, missed every single one of you, as well as, the horsemen that are on the screen. I'm going to start going right around the horn, introduce them so we can get it kicked off and start talking some Denver Broncos football. Trevor, the Rocket Man Salzman, I'll just kick it right over to you, man. How you doing other than shoveling a lot lately?
Yeah, doing well. Again, glad to have you back, Keith. We sure damn missed you on Tuesday. So again, big shout out to Kenny for filling in for you and really being big help for us. And Albert as well. But no, glad to have you back, and maybe freezing, but it is what it is, and just like you have electricity right now, and so it feels like you're living in the North Pole a little earlier this year. I think Christmas came early at my house.
You're all set up, man. It's time to get the Christmas tree lights out if you haven't already, man. If you didn't decorate outside, you might be stuck for a while, man. Don't know if there'll be any decorating the house anytime soon. So
not ready for
that being said, man, kick it over to the judge, man. The Judge Jody Moncrief joining us this evening, coming in here talking a little bit of Denver Broncos football, not in the snow, enjoying the nice side of Colorado right now. How you doing, sir?
Doing good. Ready to get the bad taste of last Sunday out of our mouth and hopefully put a winning streak to bed for Kansas City.
Yeah, I like the sounds of that, man. I titled this "Let's Beat the Chiefs: Denver Broncos versus Kansas City Chiefs pregame show," man, because we got an opportunity, man. If we go in there, we could be talking about possibly 2-0 against the Kansas City Chiefs coming the end of the season, the way that the Chiefs are kind of going and what might be their mindset come to the end of the year as well. So, great opportunity here as we, ride into Kansas City this upcoming Sunday. Ernie Mays coming in saying, "Go Broncos country only." Bo Nix for 6. Hello, Keith and Trevor and Jody. And it's good to see you, Ernie Mays. Good to see you, man. Like I said, I missed you all, man. It's good to have you in here. And Graham's coming in here as well, saying no snow over here in Canada yet. So, Trevor, you're out best in Canada in the snow totals right now. Just let you know.
Thanks for making me feel better.
And that, hey, it's always good to be at the top of some lists. Why not take snow as one of them? So, do you have a Facebook user coming in? I'm just going to see if I can. Oh, hey, it's Mr. Roy Osborne, but Roy, for some reason, we're not getting your StreamYard allowances for you to be on our profile here. He says, "Hey there, horsemen and the posse," and hi all. So, good evening, Keith, Rocketman, and the judge. Let's hope that VJ decides to stay with man coverage and keep the pressure up. Welcome back, Keith, and appreciate it very much. I'm getting a lot of comments coming in with a Facebook user, so I guess we need to just remind that if you go over, what is it, StreamYard.com/Facebook, I believe it is. Just tell them that you want to, allow your profile to come through, and we'd appreciate it. So, don't know. There was. I got to say this. There was just an update on StreamYard, everybody. So I see a big coming through. That's probably the reason why. There was an update that came through that got flagged. So that being said, hey, when you get a chance, get over there. We'd love to see your profile. If nothing else, just let us know who it is. Maybe if you're popping up as a Facebook user and I'm throwing your comments up that way. Got to get over to our good friend, Phil McLaughlin, though. Phil McLaughlin That was Phil McLaughlin that came in and said, "Good evening, Keith Rockaman and the judge. Let's hope that VJ stays with man coverage." And he's dropping stars when he's doing it, 100 stars. So I wanted to talk about this a little bit. This is, I think, a great segue because we wanted to talk about that Baltimore game. I didn't get to do the breakdown with you guys. Didn't get to talk a whole lot about Baron Browning either. You guys got to talk a little bit more about that. But that being said, he wants to know about the man coverage that we need to stay in. We saw a lot of zone versus Baltimore. We saw the pressure not come. And VJ even spoke about that a little bit in his press conference. Jody, I'll go to you first, sir. What are your thoughts, man, as we come off of Baltimore, where we saw a lot more zone, a lot more drop back, not a lot of pressure on the quarterback as far as blitzing was concerned? Do we back out of that? Do we go a lot more man versus Kansas City?
I didn't really like how they played against Baltimore. That's not what got you to the third-ranked defense all year. You got to play to your strengths and not be scared and fall victim to what the other team's doing. I hope they get back to that this week. Kansas City, in my opinion, doesn't have elite wide receivers or anything. You've been able to cover tight ends pretty well this year. You get PJ Locke back, which is huge. I thought Devon Key was a big red flag in the backfield. He was not good, in my opinion, back there. And get back to what got you the third-ranked D. Your Riley Moss is great, man. PS2, we know what he is. Get back to that and get back to playing defense like you know how to play.
Yeah. I think there is opportunity to not look like we looked versus Baltimore and look more like we looked in the first 8 weeks or so, right? Where Denver's been king and being one of the top defenses, even still after that game, and you talk about points per game or yards per game, yards per play, touchdowns per game, all top 10. Fourth down conversion on defense, all top 10 on that side of things. So we still have the opportunity to be an amazing defense, and sometimes you see anomalies. I didn't like the way it was played. I didn't like what VJ had to say versus not being able to, max blitz versus max protect necessarily. But I kind of wanted to segue into something that Jody kind of keyed on as well. Devon Key not looking good necessarily last week versus Baltimore. Trevor, we get PJ Locke back this week. I want to get your thoughts as far as PJ Locke coming back. He's coming back with a cast on his hand. Sounds like it's going to be there for a few weeks. But how big of a key pickup is PJ Locke to this 53-man roster going out there on Sunday versus what we saw on Devon Key?
Yeah, first and foremost, guys, the Broncos had one pressure all game against Lamar Jackson in Baltimore. So that just cannot happen. Zach Allen basically was non-existent in that game. It was by John Franklin Myers. That was that one pressure was by. So, when it comes to Devon Key, he made mistakes. But again, who was good in coverage on Sunday against Baltimore? Let's be honest. Maybe you can argue PS2, but other than that, there wasn't a lot of bright spots when it comes to the Broncos defense and in coverage. It's hard to blame one guy in Devon Key because I can think of one play with PJ Locke against the Raiders and Brock Bowers when he got beat badly too. So it's one of those things where, it might help, chemistry wise bringing back PJ Locke, but I don't think it's going to be this big, big add to this defense per se right now because the defense just didn't play good as a whole as a team on Sunday against Baltimore. So yes, he add a little bit? Maybe he will. Maybe in the run defense, coverage wise, we'll have to see. But this team's got to be better pressuring and getting after the quarterback. One time getting after Patrick Mahomes is probably not going to end very good for Denver. They've got to be able to pressure the quarterback a lot more. I believe they blitzed a total of 5 times total against Baltimore on Sunday.
Yeah, just not enough. Jody, I wanted to get your thoughts on it too because Sean Payton even joked around that Devon Key not Devon Key. PJ Locke never had hands anyway, so it didn't matter if he has a cast on his hand. He wasn't going to catch anything. He said he was just joking with him, but you brought this up, PJ Locke coming back. Your thoughts on that? Plus, it sounded like you might have had a different thought as well. Go ahead, buddy.
Even though we all agree Devon Keys played bad, I don't necessarily blame him. I blame VJ for, he called only 5 blitzes. That's not what this team is. You've blitzed all year. You've gotten pressure. That's why you're the number 1 defense in pressures. You got to do what made you a top 3D, not change to try to adjust. If Lamar Jackson goes out there and runs for 300 on you, then whatever. But what you did obviously wasn't working, so you need to do what's gotten you to where you are so far. That would be my biggest frustration of how that game went.
Yeah.
I also didn't. The last 2 minutes, the last from when we scored to when they took over, when we got the ball back. Bo Nix was down 17-10. And when he took the field again, he was down 31-10. So,
yeah.
It was just bad all around right there. I hope VJ gets back to his aggressive self and live by the sword, die by the sword, but don't die doing something that hasn't gotten you to a good place so far.
PJ Locke be a big piece of that, you think? Or do you think, again, it was more scheme and PJ Locke will certainly help, but isn't going to be that big of a piece? Your thoughts on that, though?
Well, I think he's a big piece. Even you can go back to the Raiders game and say, well, he got beat. He was in good position on that kind of throw-up pass to Brock Bowers. He just kind of fell right at the very last, or he probably would have picked it off if nothing else batted it down. I think he's one of the reasons that they let Caden Stearns go. He's one of the reasons they let Justin Simmons go last year. I think he's an important piece to this secondary. Devon Keys, he's new to that position and just has not had a lot of time back there.
Yeah,
and it shows. So yeah, I think it's a big get for us.
Very good, man. I want to hit the posse really quick, man. Get caught up on a few comments and get back to the conversation. Rodney Garcia coming in over on YouTube, just giving us a good evening, guys. Go Broncos. Hope we beat the Chiefs, man. Yeah, absolutely. I think there's, even after a 41-10 loss, there's still a lot of things to be excited about. I can't wait to get breaking down this game a little bit more and be excited about maybe our predictions come the end. We'll get that. Don't throw any predictions in right now. Please hold them to the end because I always have a hard time getting your guys' predictions. Unless you got to get run out of here, don't throw your predictions in yet. We got Karen coming in saying Kansas City has the quote-unquote perfect record. Now the time now's the time it ends. Man, don't know why I stumbled over that. We have been on both sides before. I just want our defense to crush Mahomes. There will be a new sheriff in town after that. Ha ha. Question: Did that work when I did the StreamYard thing? It might take a reload, guys and gals. If you're having trouble and your comments aren't showing up, maybe we just wait till next show, see if it sorts itself out, as there's been a lot of authorizations going on your end and mine in the last 20 minutes, let's just say. So just make sure that next time we're all square, and drop your name in there if you're not seeing your profile come up right now. Zach Allen was double teamed a lot, says Karen, in that last game. Rodney Garcia says Simmons was the only player who picked off Mahomes, and he did have quite a record of doing so. And it'd be interesting to see now in this new defense exactly how that ends up playing out. We've been somewhat fortunate in the turnover battle in that regard, in picking off passes this year. Might be a new face that pops up. Let's see here. I just want to make sure I'm not. Rodney Garcia says estimate to get more touches in this game. Clicking on some offensive thoughts. And yeah, Karen, I appreciate you very much coming in here and saying make sure you hit that like button and show your support. And we appreciate that. Like, share, subscribe. Appreciate you, Karen. supporting us and reminding me to let everybody know that. So, want to hit a couple more, man. This is one that you hit on, Trevor. I talked just shortly. We don't need to go into it much. Baron Browning's no longer part of this team. DeAndre Tillman sounds like he's going to start getting some run with this defense a little bit as well. But we also saw this week kind of another guy practicing and possibly making his way into this rotation and onto the field. I know that was a guy that you wanted to talk about. I'll let you take it from there.
Yeah, obviously with Mr. Drew Sanders, obviously there's been a lot of movement since you guys last been on, but Mr. Drew Sanders seems like he's starting to get back to practicing a little bit. It'll be interesting to see what position he has when he gets back to fully being a full participant in practice and being able to play in the games. Right now, he's just practicing limited right now with that Achilles, of course. So I think that may or may not have made a difference in Baron Browning being gone. I think that listen, it's tough because they keep moving Drew Sanders around. For me, it's just where does he play in this edge rusher room right now? You have Jonathan Cooper, Nick Benito. You drafted Jonah Ellis in the 3rd round. You got Tillman, coming in through. So it's just like, where does Drew Sanders see the field here? And you have to play him at some point in time. You spent a pretty high pick on him, so he needs to get the playing time somewhere. Maybe is that inside linebacker? Do they bring him in slowly? I would think they bring him in slowly with Quan Alexander still on this roster. And then of course you got Cody Barton. So just something to kind of mention right now is that Drew Sanders looks like he's on the path of returning from that torn Achilles that he suffered in the offseason. So we'll see what kind of role and factor he plays with this team, but I think it's something to mention and definitely look for going towards the future.
Yeah. One other interesting kind of side note, Jody, I know that you brought this one up. We haven't really touched on offense. We'll probably do a little bit more on defense, but I want to get in here and we need to talk a little bit about the center position as well, man. So your thoughts on the center position and kind of what's happening there, Jody?
Sorry, it sounds like Luke Wattenberg practiced all week. Sounds like he may be ready to go again. I'm not really sure that it's an upgrade. It's kind of they're both about the same player, but they need to stick with one for the rest of the season and get reps with Knicks.
And what would your preference be, man? I mean, now that we even Sean Payton, he talked about Forsythe and how he went out there and, he thought he got some good reps out there in this last game. Wattenberg's working his way back. He said it was a tough battle all the way through camp, and it came down to almost a flip of the coin, really, on who they wanted to come down to and start the season. Do you think that we need to go back to Wattenberg, who won the coin flip to begin with, or are you more feeling the rhythm building with one Alex Forsythe? Where would you lean, buddy?
I think I'm probably leaning towards Wattenberg. I just can't get out of my mind that play last week that Forsythe just got walked right back into Knicks's lap. I just can't get that out of my mind. That was a horrible play. I'm not saying Wattenberg has been great, but I just can't get that one play out of my mind. That was pretty bad.
Fair enough. Wattenberg, just based on one play, I remember seeing the play 2 live, and I was just like, oh my goodness gracious. That was something to behold. You don't see very many pros go against pros and see something quite to that level. Trevor, I want to get your thoughts on this too, man. Forsythe, Wattenberg, this was a big camp battle. We were all wondering, where's Forsythe? Is Wattenberg the guy? Where are you at now, buddy?
Ooh, that's a coin toss. It still is a coin toss. I mean, that's kind of where it's at. I mean, honestly, I think that for me, I would roll with Forsythe right now. I think that he has that connection with Bo Nix. Wattenberg didn't really show anything either when he was out there. And I think you've run the football a little bit better with Forsythe out there. But again, it's still a coin toss. I think we, need to mention this now, but maybe going towards the future, Denver may have to look at center in the offseason as a position to improve, because of the inconsistency at center. Could be a part of the reason why you're not able to run the football, or Bo Nix is getting pressure so much. So just one of those things where let's see how these two play. It might be a coin toss the rest of the year, though. Honestly, it just just depends on where Sean Payton thinks and the coaching staff thinks that this team can go towards, and what it's better for the offense. But for me, Forsythe, as of right now, maybe a slight a bit better than what Wattenberg has added. And reminder, Forsythe was a Sean Payton guy, so Forsythe might be a guy that Sean Payton rolls with going forward. Remember with Bo Nix, before he drafted Bo Nix, he asked Alex Forsythe. I don't know why it was so hard to get out. Asked Alex Forsythe about Bo Nix and how he was. So it tells me that Sean Payton does value Forsythe a little bit into what he says. But we shall see going forward what this coin toss up the center position ends up being.
Very good, man. He got his opinion on Alex Forsythe. Maybe we'll just go with that since we're both having trouble spitting words out. He got his opinion on one Alex Forsythe or one Bo Nix. From Alex Forsythe. That's I'm kind of on the same boat. I'm probably more of a Forsythe guy. Karen brings up a great point. It does suck when a guy kind of loses his position based on injury. It does happen from time to time. And it got me thinking, it's like, did that offense just start coming together and start gelling together about the same time that Luke Wattenberg loses his position due to injury? And all of a sudden it's like, oh, yay, Forsythe looks a little bit better than we expected. Well, maybe it was because, this offense, who necessarily hasn't looked great, has looked better as of lately in what they've been able to do. And, Alex Forsythe might just benefit from that. Before we get to Rodney Garcia's question, I just want to quick on this one. Is there anything that you take necessarily from that Baltimore game moving forward? Jody, I'm going to get your thoughts on it first. Again, just a quick synopsis, anything that you take, the meaningful, necessary, that you move forward with. I know that you were talking a little bit about VJ and his play calling. That comes to mind. But anything else, sir?
Missed opportunities. Javonte Williams has to pick up that fourth down. I didn't like the play call. He's not a wide type of runner, but he's got to pick that up. He's got to know to run, to extend the ball. He's got to pick that up. I don't blame Bo Nix for taking that shot. Franklin was wide open. You've got to hit on that. That's something that's got to get worked on this offseason, is those deep shots. That was overthrown, but I've seen Franklin drop 2 of them. He also had, I think it was Vele right across the middle, wide open, that he easily could have picked it up. I don't blame him for taking the deep shot because it was wide open, but you got to hit on those. For as bad as it was, in my opinion, you really should have been in the lead at halftime. Kick a field goal the first drive. Don't let them score right at the end of the half, and you should be up at halftime. And maybe that changes the way things go. And then I've been pounding the table for this all year. I want to see more of Estime. He's averaging 6 yards a carry. I know he's got the fumbling thing, and that is a big thing, but Javonte has, after, the Raiders game, he's kind of regressed back to his old self, and he's not breaking tackles like he needs to. That should have been an easy first down for him to get, that fourth down. I'd like to see him get more run, and I've seen just about enough of little Jordan Humphreys. I know that wasn't the greatest right on target pass, but that ball hit him in the hands. He either needs to just bat it to the ground, not tip it up like that. He fumbled 2 weeks ago in Carolina. I don't know what the love affair with him is with Sean Payton. I know he's a Saints guy, but there's other guys I'd rather see on the field. Either let Vele get those routes. I'd like to see A.T. Perry maybe get called up at some point. But whatever the deal is with him, he can. I've seen enough. It's been. But he's not a rookie, and that's rookie mistakes. Cortland Sutton went high up to get, a couple over passes that were pretty high. Little Jordan Humphreys needs to do the same.
Jody, with this brief synopsis of what he might take away from that Baltimore loss, I appreciate it. Jody, most people don't give Trevor the Rocket Man Salzman a run for his money when it comes to brief synopsis. I'm a little afraid, but Rocket Man, what do you take from this Baltimore loss? Jody covered a lot of things, man. A lot of things that he'd like to see different. including the defense that he talked about earlier. Anything that you want to add in here, or what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's because Jody hasn't been on here for a week, so I think that he's got to get all of his thoughts out. Hey, Jody, we're here for it. No, I mean, quick. I'll be quick with this, because I've given my analysis already on this game. I think that yes, there's some things to take away from this game. Again, all three phases this team was not very good on against Baltimore. Special teams, offense, defense, none of them were good in my opinion. Bo Nix was maybe a little bit of a bright spot if you want to take that away from being a bright spot, but nothing else. Maybe Cortland Sutton, I guess, but nothing else really was a bright spot for this team. We couldn't run the football all day. I know that was a tough defense in Baltimore, but you didn't help out Bo Nix whatsoever. I've been doing that. Defense, the defense just was horrible in coverage, 3 turnovers on offense. It's just something you have to kind of throw away, and it's time to move on. That's a difficult matchup in Baltimore. Just seen them play last night, against Cincinnati, one of the better Thursday night football games that I've seen this year. That's a very difficult offense to deal with. So I don't take too much away from this game other than it's time to move on to the next opponent. I think you have a better chance at winning this matchup against Kansas City than you did in Baltimore, just based upon where the talent is on the offense side of the ball for both teams. But it's on to the next. You wipe that slate clean, on to the next, push forward. Don't let that loss to Baltimore get you down too much, because they're miles ahead of where this team is. The Broncos are at right now as far as their building process, and they're a Super Bowl contender.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with 100% of what you just said. I think we didn't attack the offense of Baltimore correctly, as Jody kind of spoke of, but you're also talking about an offense that is very tough to contend with. And we're talking about a team that from the very beginning of the season had Super Bowl aspirations, and that hasn't fallen off, especially as they racked up another win in Thursday Night Football. Trevor, I'm going to get your thoughts on a Phil question coming in here first. He says, because I think I got a little bit of an idea from Jody on this one. He says, Phil here, if Williams doesn't start showing a big improvement, he is gone next year, in my opinion. Actually, I think he is gone anyway, and we draft a running back. Now, calls for Estime is being made by Jody. Blake Watson was once a part of this roster as well, and there was hopes there. We have a Jaleel McLaughlin on this roster. Williams needs to start showing improvement, according to Phil. Is he already gone? Are we already drafting a running back? Does Javonte Williams have the opportunity to go out there and still or have a spot on this roster come next year?
I think there's definitely an opportunity there for Javonte still to earn to possibly be on this roster next year. He's just going to have to be more consistent in doing so. But I do agree with Phil in saying that I do think that Javonte, as of right now, is probably looking to be out the door, just because everybody talks about reinforcements around Bo Nix. Well, that starts, for me, that's running back's top of my list as far as, what the reinforcements you're bringing in for Bo Nix. He's got to have a running game. All these teams that are in the playoffs are Super Bowl contenders. They have an elite running back, or they have a running back to pair with them with their quarterback. So for me, Javonte, we've seen flashes of Javonte being good this year, but he's just not consistent enough. And at some point in time, when is it time to move off of Javonte Williams and just accept the fact that it's just probably not going to work out here? Again, love Javonte Williams, and I do hope he works out here. I just don't think it's going to, as of right now, if the season ended right now, I don't think Javonte Williams will be back here in Denver. You've got to find a running back that can be a 3-down back, a guy that can help carry the load a little bit. Bo Nix can't be your lead this team in rushing yards every game. It just can't happen. I love Bo Nix being mobile, but he can't be that guy, the only guy, running the football well. So you have to find a running back to pair with him. I think the Broncos think so as well. Again, I know I've mentioned this like about a million times. There's a reason they were interested in Josh Jacobs. I think the Broncos know that they have to improve that running back room. I do think they'll look at that at least in the offseason, and I think it's one of their bigger needs in the offseason, in my opinion.
Yeah. Feel like we should have been in a Saquon sweepstakes at this point. But I'm going to digress out of that. Rodney Garcia comes in with a question that Jody, the Judge Moncrief, is going to answer for us. He says, would you guys have been okay if the Broncos traded for DK Metcalf last week? I was looking off to the side for anybody who was trying to see what was going on. I just wanted to kind of get a breakdown. Contract is basically $36 million this year, $21 million next year, and you're paying $7 million in dead cap when he's an unrestricted free agent in 2026. That's his contract. I don't know what it would have taken to get a DK Metcalf. I'll let you speculate on that, Jody. Do you think a DK Metcalf should have been an option that we should have pursued heavily from the Seattle Seahawks?
Well, I would have loved to have DK here, but he was never a real option. Seattle wasn't going to trade him. I mean, reports Pittsburgh offered a 2 and a 4. They shot it down. He wasn't a real option. I mean, you could offer multiple ones and all this stuff to get him. Anyone's obtainable, but he wasn't really a realistic option. I mean, yeah, I would love DK's a top 10, probably wide receiver when healthy, in my opinion. So, I mean, I would love DK, but he was never a real option, realistic option.
Fair enough, man. Dreams are out there sometimes, and DK Metcalf, I think, would have been a dream for a lot of people to be able to pair up with this team. And all of a sudden, you really feel like I think you'd really see with a talent level like that added, just to kind of add to this, really, Rodney, we'd find out who is a number one receiver on this roster, because there's always questions: is Courtland Sutton truly a number one on most of any of these 32 teams? Right? He's a number one on our team. He's certainly a number one on a lot of teams. I mean, Tampa Bay would take him in a heartbeat right now with what they're going through. I'll tell you that. But, there's a lot of teams that would put him on his roster and possibly be the number one. But you pair him up with a DK Metcalf, and you're going to find out who some number one guys are pretty quick with a pairing like that. I like that idea. But, yeah, just out of reach. And honestly, personal opinion, wouldn't want to go after the draft capital, even if we were to offer a second and a fourth and they said yes. With everything else that comes with this contract, and then as many draft picks as we haven't had a chance to go out there and operate with, maybe it's just best we sit back for just a moment.
I mean, I have one thing for me. I don't really care about the draft picks because you're not getting a wide receiver. If you give up a 2 and a 4, you're not getting a DK Metcalf in round 2, so you're not getting that. You're not getting that. So you can go and say, you use your second round draft pick and draft a DK Metcalf. Denver's going to have money next year, and the way you listen to Sean Payton week after week saying guys around Bo Nix have to help him out and stuff, Denver is going to go out and get playmakers, and I think it's pretty obvious. I just don't think that they wanted rentals.
Yeah.
Like Njoku or whatever, that was the hot guy that everyone kept talking about. It was, you weren't for sure going to sign him in the offseason and you give up the capital, I think. But I think this offseason they're going to, like they did last year, they're going to be big spenders like they did on the O-line, and they're going to get Bo Nix some playmakers.
Yeah, I think that's certainly a possibility. It'll be interesting when we get into the offseason and see how it all plays out. A lot of players that could exit our roster over the next couple of years, and a lot of money to be spent over the next couple of years. So we'll see who's on the roster, who's not. I can tell you, though, speaking about just a little bit of money, I should get to our sponsor, and that's the Real Morgan Trinkets. Pearl, I know that you're out there. I saw you commenting a little bit earlier, even though that we get all this issue right now with StreamYard coming with Facebook user, as everyone's comments are coming through right now. But Pearl, please, if you can, copy and drop the link in the comments for me. I've been searching it out. I know that we need to find the right link for the Real Morgan Trinkets, but the Real Morgan Trinkets is, I'm telling you guys, this is a 33-year business, got to be 34 years now, that does Southwest jewelry, Southwest pottery, and estate gold at wholesale prices. Once nationwide, now they just hang out in the snowy northern Colorado areas and those southern Wyoming areas, do fantastic shows whenever they can get out on the road. And they usually have an amazing Facebook page that I want to get a link to, or an Instagram page. Find a way to get y'all set up with Morgan Trinkets, because I'm telling you what, Morgan Trinkets has had more happy customers as our sponsor than I can shake a stick at. If you're looking for that Southwest jewelry, Southwest pottery, estate gold, wholesale prices, you need to find the Real Morgan Trinkets. We'll get you the link. I've been promising you that. I've been asking Pearl. If you're out there, please drop that link. I'll be checking the comments here in just in a moment, making sure that you're doing so. But again, check out our amazing sponsor, and I'll promise I'll get you the link, the Real Morgan Trinkets. So thank you for all hanging through that. I'm going to see if nothing yet from Pearl. So got to get over to Kenny. So just saying hello, fellas, and he says he's late, and he's welcome back to me, and hello to Jody and Trevor. So welcome to Mr. Kenny Kirkpatrick. He says, I have a question for you all in 10 words or less. Whoo, boy, Jody.
Oh boy,
Jody, this is their biggest test of the night, man. 10 words or less. Second half expectations for the Broncos.
Make the playoffs and develop young players.
Yeah, you did it, man. Hey, all right. 7 words. Love it. Make the playoffs and develop young players. Man, I like that, man. Trevor, using your 10 words or less.
build and grow.
Build and grow. Man, he's doing 5 words or less. I can name that tune in 3 notes. Build and grow. I'm going to go with 1 word because it was actually right at the very top of my notes for this. Timelines. Timelines is my expectation. I need to figure out the timelines for this team and for some players right now. I think that's what we're going to end up figuring out. And I think we're going to start figuring it out starting this next week versus Kansas City. We really get to figure out, was the 41-10 an anomaly against a good team, or are we competitive against a good team? What is the timeline for this team? Are we a playoff contender like Jody was talking about? Are we still building and growing, as Trevor was kind of talking about? What's the timeline? I think we'll find out a lot. Timeline for this team, timeline for the players. That's my 1-word answer, timeline. So want to get into a few more comments before we start breaking into a few more things here. And Joko was a narrative. However, big cap hit plus the Browns was not getting rid of him, just as an example of some of those free agents going out there. Real Morgan Trinkets Co. plus I am
Pearl.
working on a...
That's Pearl.
Yes, that's Pearl.
Yeah.
Yep, I figured. Plus, I'm working on a new website. Give me a month or so. It will not be linked to Facebook. So, again, hold steady, everybody. Your Morgan Trinkets will be back soon. You'll have the best access to Southwest Jewelry, Southwest Pottery, and Estate Gold. Pearl is promising us, and we're going to hold her to it. Can't wait for you guys to be able to interact that way. Develop and don't shoot yourself in the foot, says Rodney Garcia. Ernie May says, win last 8 games. And Karen, I just want to get to this one, says, I think we've shown how well we've come back after losses, though, as well this season, as we get off this loss and head into Kansas City. Trevor, didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead, sir.
No, because this is we're still in this segment right now. So actually, I think it kind of goes up on what we've been talking about. When Sean Payton came out this week after the trade deadline, he said we weren't considering giving up a second-round draft pick. To me, again, and you guys can just we can discuss this a little bit, but and then we've got a game to discuss as well. But for me, that shows me that they're playing the long term. That's what they're shooting for. Like this year, yes, they want to make the playoffs, but it's not end all be all. And that to me shows it. I mean, they weren't considering giving up a second round draft pick. I mean, that means to me they're drafting, developing more than anything. Now they're not going to come out and say that, but to me that's what it shows when Sean Payton said that. So I just want to kind of before we kind of close the door on the trade deadline, I just kind of want to make that point. To me, that's where this organization's heading. Yes, you want to make the playoffs, absolutely. But draft and develop is where this organization is going to have to go to build this roster. I don't know necessarily that they're going to be huge spenders in free agency. We'll just have to see what kind of fits and what kind of players are out there. But I think most importantly, they're invested in draft and developing these guys, these young players on this roster and going forward. It just, to me, Sean Payton saying that one sentence to me showed me the direction that this team is going, building their roster going forward.
Very good, man. I like that. I like that, man. I a peek into the future is what we get to see. Glimpses every now and then. We have a pretty tight-lipped coach, so don't expect him to be blabbing all about. But that being said, man, we can kind of get an idea. We kind of have thoughts of where this team is going based on a couple of things. I appreciate you bringing that to us. Rodney might have to get running. And he says, great show tonight, guys. Greatly appreciated. Appreciate you, Mr. Rodney. And we have this. This looks like a Michael Ronquillo, if I've ever seen one. So saying good evening, Keith, Trevor, and Jody, and go Bo Broncos. Big orange and blue hearts, and giving us that mile high salute. That looks like a Michael Ronquillo. I'm going to catch up on the side. And sorry about all the Facebook user stuff, guys. Gonna have to deal with it for a little bit. Want to make sure, but Pearl's been in here. Pearl's finally given us a way to get in contact. Morgan Trinkets at AOL.com. Now, what you need to do, I just want to get this out real quick, guys, because Pearl's been going through a lot with hacking and loss of funds and you name it. Poor Pearl. My heart goes out to her. And we haven't been able to get it all set up. So she's telling us, again, Morgan Trinkets at AOL.com. She says, just email me. She has a special going on, November sale, 50% off, plus another 10% for you all only. So, man, 50% off and then, another 10% off after that. Pearl is getting us taken care of coming into the holidays for all your Southwest jewelry, Southwest pottery, and estate gold at wholesale prices. She also said that she takes some fantastic pictures, so whatever you're looking for. So Morgan Trinkets at AOL.com. Guys, we got about 20 minutes. As always, the posse has been amazing, so they've been taking us off on some tangents, but I did want to get off on just a few things. Jody, I'm going to get over to you, man. How do you game plan offensively versus this Kansas City Chiefs team? I want to get your thoughts on that. We're going in there. This is one of the top defenses out there. How do you attack this top defense in the Kansas City Chiefs as you roll into Kansas City, sir?
I like what they've been doing the last couple of weeks. You just got to execute plays. Like I said in the Baltimore game, you probably left the minimum of 17 points on the field. I'd like to see them connect with that deep pass. And I want to see the run game. Like I've said, I want to see what Estime can do. I haven't seen anything from Javonte the last few weeks. I want to see if this 6 yard to carry from Estime, if that's just a fluke or if he can contain that for a whole game. I want to see that. That's where I would start on offense. On defense, get back to what made you the third-ranked defense in yards and points and all that. Get back to that. And if it gets beat, it gets beat. But don't change what was working don't outthink yourself like you did in Baltimore. I think they outthought themselves in Baltimore, and I didn't like that.
Jody just taking it upon himself to go both offense and defense, what we need to be doing. That was going to be my next question, man. But I agree with you, man. No, hey, man, it's easy to get excited, man. That after a 41-10 loss, after seeing what we saw in Carolina, especially, and I know those are two completely different teams, it's easy to get excited about what we want to see offensively again, what we want to see defensively again. Trevor, I'm just asking you on this side of things, offensively, at least to begin with. Offensively, game plan. What do you go out there? How do you attack a defense that's been the key to this team being undefeated so far?
Yeah, I mean, again, it's kind of similar to last week's matchup against the Ravens, in my opinion. I mean, you have two defenses that you faced the past couple of weeks, and Baltimore's defense last week and Kansas City's defense this week, who are very, very, very tough to run the football against. I mean, two of the top run-stopping defenses in the league. So, for me, I mean, you're going to have to get creative when it comes to running the football, really. It's easier said than done. And Bo Nix, I mean, I I'm afraid that he's going to have to pass 40 times in this game for this team to be able to move the football, and it's a concern of mine. Game plan is just, I think, the short, immediate routes. I think if you can get those kind of going a little bit more in this game, it doesn't need to be the flashy, big-time throws downfield. Now, if they're there, of course, you take that chance, but got to get the ball out of Bo Nix's hands quick. The wide receivers are going to have to get open. I just think this is going to have to be a pass-heavy game from this Broncos offense this week because the running game, it's just not there right now, unfortunately. And again, if they can get creative with it, this is the week to do so. If you're going to have any chance, I think you need to see this passing game kind of really take off a little bit. And hopefully somebody else other than Courtland Sutton can step up and be a weapon for Bo Nix going forward and really help him in this game. But my biggest concern is running the football. And it's unfortunately, I think it's going to be another pressure game for Bo Nix. He's going to have to really perform in a tough environment on the road in Kansas City. It's creative week for Sean Payton once again against a tough defense in Kansas City.
Yeah. I'm going to disagree though. I think the key is and I'm going to be right here kind of more with Kenny. How do you beat an aggressive defense? Run the ball. I think that this is going to still be a run-heavy game. I think that it's going to be a 2 to 3-headed monster to maybe get that done. And Kenny might be right. He says, I think Bo Nix will be the one scrambling out of the pocket and running the ball well. That might be the case, man. I've called for it. I think that when you do have a guy like this, you do need to take advantage of him. He's shown to be smart. He gets down. He doesn't take hits. He has the ability to run the ball. He tends to get into the game more, in my opinion, when he gets those opportunities and he can run the ball as well. Seems like his passing all of a sudden calms down and he sees things better and he executes at a better level, in my opinion. Get him into the game. Get him running the ball as well. That might be your 3-headed monster, but I think you absolutely need to be keyed in on the running game. I got to get to this one. Karen says, I think their defense will not be as great against the Broncos, with no specific reason why other than I don't like the Chiefs and I want them to lose 71-19, better than 70-20, right? I appreciate that, Karen. I could see it going a couple of different ways. I don't know if it's going to go quite that way for us, Karen, but appreciate the confidence. I want to get, before we move off the offense, Jody, 3 key players on offense that you need to see out there, go out there and execute. I wanted to get Trevor's. I'll give you mine as well.
I wanted to add one other thing. We've missed big shots multiple times this year, and
yes, we have.
At some point, you're going to hit that. I want to see that. Hopefully, that this is the game. I know of 3 for sure to Troy Franklin, 2 drops on that overthrow last week, but we've missed multiple deep shots of wide receivers getting open. I want to see that click. When that starts to click, I think that opens up a lot of different things.
Sure does.
My 3 key guys, 1, Bo Nix. I want to see him continue to work on his footwork, stay in the pocket, climb the pocket. It's hard to climb the pocket when your center's getting drove back in your face, but climb the pocket. Don't be afraid to just, get out of the pocket so soon. Courtland Sutton, I want to see. He's had 2 100-yard games in a row. Like to see that 3. And I'm going to go Estime. I want to see Estime get a workload and see if 6 yards of carry is a fluke or what he can do with a full workload, and can he hold on to the football?
Very good. Very good, man. 3, some good keys to what we need to be doing. And I 100% agree with you on that deep ball. If that starts connecting, buddy, I think this offense operates on a completely different level. If all of a sudden those start dropping in and start getting completed, when we're talking 30, 40 yards downfield, I think it completely changes. Before I get to Trevor's 3 key players, keys to the game from Phil here, and he's dropping stars, letting us know. He says game plan for him, just in general, no penalties, no drop balls, no fumbles, run for 100. I mean, these are one of those games where turnovers, penalties, you know, just execution needs to be on key. And I think Phil's not too far off here. I mean, it's a lot to ask for no penalties, no drop balls, no fumbles is something you can ask for. And running for 100 yards sure would be nice to see. But Trevor, in order to do that, you had to have some key players. Is a running back making a key player for you? Who are the 3 key players that you have listed here on offense, bud?
Well, first and foremost, it's going to be Bo Nix because I just don't see this team be able to run the football very well over the last several weeks, and this is one of the tougher run defenses in the league. So it's easier said than done to run for 100 yards, but they haven't done that at all this year. And you're going up against a great defensive tackle and Chris Jones. So, it's hopefully they do end up getting that running game going, but I think it's going to be pressure on Bo Nix to get to really put together a really solid game, and I think it's going to be put on the passing game a little bit. And yeah, you want a balanced attack, but Sean Payton likes to go away from the run at times when it's not working, and so and pass for 40 times. So yeah, what I would love for them to run the ball, absolutely. I just don't know that they're going to be able to do so against this Kansas City Chiefs defense. They just shut other teams' opponents' running backs out a lot of times. So more often than not. So for me, it's first of all, it's Bo Nix. I think that he's going to have to be efficient in this game. No turnovers. I agree. No turnover. No turning the ball over. And footwork. But I think he's going to have to. Be able to take off with his feet and be mobile in this game. I think that's absolutely what he's going to be able to do. And I'm going to go with Sean Payton this one as well. Sean Payton is my number 2. Going to have to be creative at this game. This is no easy game against Kansas City in Kansas City against a tough defense. He's going to have to get creative in this one, especially against what you just had last week. In Baltimore, this is where you pay Sean Payton the big bucks for. He's got to outsmart what Kansas City is doing on the defense side of the ball and be creative. I know, you're kind of lacking players, your playmakers out there. I get that, but get some of these guys involved and, help out your quarterback a little bit more. And then number 3, I'm going to go with Troy Franklin. I think you need somebody else other than Cortland Sutton in this game to be efficient. And, as much as I want to pick one of the running backs in this game, if you can get some contribution from another wide receiver other than Cortland Sutton, who over the past couple games has been 100-yard receiving games, you're not getting any other production from anybody else. So you need somebody else to step up in that role. Troy Franklin and him and Bo Nix have that connection. Maybe this is a game that Troy Franklin starts kind of taking big strides in the right direction. Hopefully it will help out Bo Nix. He's getting separation. It's just about can he catch the ball and can Bo Nix get it to him? I think that connection will get better as the season goes on.
Very good, guys. Run up against the clock. I'll try to make mine short and sweet. You guys both hit on one of them. Bo Nix. Bo Nix has got to be having that type of game, man. It doesn't matter if it's passing the ball. I already call on him running the ball. Bo Nix has got to go out there. He's got to operate if we want to be successful in this game. I wavered, and I'm going to go my third guy. I wavered back and forth, and I didn't know exactly where to go. We could certainly pick out the offensive line as big as Chris Jones and Karlaftis is going to be in this game. I end up going with, on the offensive side of things, more weaponry, I guess you could say. Marvin Mims. I think we have some opportunity. If you go back and you look at the Tampa Bay game, I saw some nice sweeps going around. I think that Marvin Mims, if he's going to get involved, needs to get involved in a game like this. This is a guy that has speed. We're talking about opening up that field. Troy Franklin would be good as well, but Marvin Mims is a guy that I think needs to be key in this game. We need to have another weapon opposite Cortland Sutton. That's my choice over there. The last one, Javonte Williams. I talked about it, man, and I don't mean it just as a running the ball. I don't think this is going to be a 100-yard game for Javonte Williams, but much like last week, he put 44 yards up in receiving once again. Once again, I see him time and time being part of that blocking scheme and doing the best of all the running backs out there that I've seen for the running back from their running back room. So Javonte Williams needs to have a game, not just going off and choosing the right holes and getting good yardage, but also in that receiving game, also in that blocking game. Javonte, I think, will be key as far as what we're able to do. Guys, we're running up against the clock, so I want to get some defensive keys as far as game plan. We kind of got an idea as far as what Jody was talking about. So I'm going to go to you, Trevor, and then I want to get, key players as well. 3 key players that we need on defense. Trevor, thoughts on what we need to do philosophically, defensively, to slow down Kansas City Chiefs. It still has Patrick Mahomes. It just ended up putting a D-Hop on there that has Kareem Hunt putting up 100 yards last week. How do we go against this Kansas City offense?
Yeah, I mean, I think
can I apologize, man. Can I just do one thing? I did want to just say Michael Ronquillo came in here. He dropped stars, and he basically was talking about exactly what we're talking about. I wanted to give him some acknowledgement because he's been dropping stars a couple of times, but he was asking which players need to step up on offense. We just hit that. Now you get to kick us off on defense against the Chiefs. So go right ahead, Trevor.
Yeah, so for me, I think it's going to be, the three key players or, keys in this game, I would say defensively for me would be Zach Allen and Jonathan Cooper. I think are highlighting them. They're the front two, the two guys and that are right there that kind of highlight what this defense needs to do if you're going to win against the Kansas City Chiefs on the road. Zach Allen, again, wasn't there last week against Baltimore. I mean, credit to Baltimore's offensive line. They kept him, contained, and he wasn't able to get to the quarterback. Only one pressure from this defensive line. Can't happen against the Chiefs. You have to get after Mahomes. The last time the Kansas City Chiefs beat the Denver Broncos, last time the Broncos beat the Kansas City Chiefs in Denver, the Broncos got after Patrick Mahomes 8 times, 8 pressures, not 8 sacks, 8 pressures. You got to put pressure on Patrick Mahomes' face. You cannot sit back in zone and just let him throw the ball around. So for me, it's Zach Allen, Jonathan Cooper, and then the linebackers. And I'm going to include, and that's including Cody Barton, that's including Quan Alexander, because of what they're going to have to do with Travis Kelce. I know Travis Kelce isn't the player maybe that he used to be, but he's still very dangerous, and you still have to find a way to cover him. The Broncos in past matchups have kind of struggled with that. It's not easy containing a potential Hall of Fame tight end. I understand that. So that's going to be a big key in this game is stopping Travis Kelce and getting to Patrick Mahomes. Mahomes is obviously hurt. You got to take advantage of that. Get after him early on and make him feel uncomfortable. Make him throw interceptions. I know Justin Simmons isn't on this team anymore, but there's no reason you can't make Patrick Mahomes turn the football over in this game and help set up your offense and put them in good, manageable field position going forward.
Well said, man. Scheming's got to be different. There's going to be some key players out there. Linebackers are going to be key. Zach Allen needs to show up. Jody, we talked a little bit about your scheme. Again, we're kind of getting up against the hour. I want to get your 3 key players for sure, bud.
I'll just make it quick. The front 7, you got to get pressure on Mahomes. And that ties into VJ. VJ needs to get back to calling what's worked all year.
Yep.
If you get beat doing what worked all year, so be it, but don't get beat trying something new that hasn't worked. The secondary is going to hold up. They're going to cover, but you got to get pressure on Mahomes. You can't let him sit back there for 8-9 seconds or he'll pick you apart. I don't really have 3 key guys. It's just the front 7. You got to get pressure. It's a collective unit.
Hey, that's fair, man. That front 7 is going to be a rotation a lot of times, as it is. And that being said, we need 3 key guys to show up off of that front 7. If we get 3 key guys on that front 7 to show up, it will be a different game. That front 7 will be big. I'm going to go kind of along the same lines, man. I'm right along with you, Trevor. It's Zach Allen, that front 7. That's got to be a big piece of this, man. He's been the biggest disruptor from the get. I mean, he's been out there playing like no other, and he, for all intents and purposes, got shut down last week. Again, not that we were really going after Lamar Jackson. That's got to change, as Jody has pointed out for sure with VJ's scheme. Next, I'm going to go PS2. I mean, you talk about a guy like D-Hop that's came over here. You talk about, heaven forbid, Xavier Worthy as well. These are guys that are big-time weapons. I think this will be a big game for PS2. And my third guy is a guy that we mentioned right off the top. I think he'll be more key as far as Travis Kelce and the linebackers and stuff like it. Yeah, Travis Kelce and the tight ends. And I got to see PJ Locke. I got to see him come out there and be that guy. Bring that safety down is something that the Denver has been doing quite a bit, and a lot of times that means matching up on tight ends as well. I think PJ Locke will be big on this on the defensive side of things. Boy, lots of comments coming in.
Can I add one thing real quick?
Yes.
Last week, Zay Flowers, he started kind of going off a little bit. I want to see PS2 when that happens assert himself and just say, I'm going to man up and lock that guy down and let and I don't necessarily think he needs to travel all the time with Hopkins, but if Hopkins starts going off on Moss or whatever, then PS2 needs to just say, that's my guy, and let someone else beat you.
I like it. Kind of pulling like a Jordan or a Kobe and saying, no, that's my guy.
Right.
I'm locking up there. I don't care what you say.
Ball in my hands. Yep.
Yeah, exactly. Ball in my hands. I'm taking the final shot. Phil's coming in with his thoughts on Benito, John Franklin Myers, and Zach Allen. Kelsey's getting slower, which I think we've kind of seen. We've seen that over time. I would agree. Kenny's saying KC aggressiveness because Mahomes is hurting on a short week. Play a lot of man coverage and stop Kelsey. That's what we need to do from a game planning. What I need from everybody that's out there still listening, still watching, because the posse's been strong. Looks like you guys are coming in strong as far as viewership. I need to get predictions. I need to get your guys, your gals, what your thoughts are as Denver Broncos trying to learn off this 41-10 loss versus Baltimore. Coming in, as we just had someone point out, Mahomes is hurting, a couple other guys hurting on that team, a little bit banged up, coming in on the short week. We're going to go into there. We're going to go in for that early game. What does this Denver Broncos team do? What do they expect? What do you expect them to do? Can they pull off the upset? Because as I looked early in the week, it wasn't looking too good as far as points spread was, as far as Vegas was concerned on this game. Jody, the judge, Moncrief, I'm going to start with you, man. And then after we get all these predictions out of the way, we got to wrap up and get out of here. First one's coming in just from the posse, 17-14 Broncos. Roy's coming in with his prediction saying 28 points for the Chiefs and 13 for the Broncos in a loss. Kenny's coming in thinking that maybe we have that opportunity. Very low scoring game, lots of field goals, 19-17. That's his thoughts. Rodney, he comes in. He sees, I see a close game. Chiefs win 21-17. Hope we do win and end the streak. Jody, what are your thoughts, man? Big game here, man. Got to get a prediction in.
No, it's a huge game. You win this game, you have a 70% chance of making the playoffs. I think Denver bounces back. I'm going to go 27-17 Denver. And I think Gaston gets a bulk of these carries and they find a run game, and we'll see where that goes. But I think this is a start of finding a 3-down running back for you.
Looking for some changes and some personnel, and within that, getting the win. 27-17, Denver Broncos walk away as a 10-point winner in this one, according to the judge. Karen's right on board with your point total for the Broncos, coming in with a 27-24 prediction. Rodney, again, I already put that one up. Hope we end the streak. And Michael's coming in before he gets out of here, blessing us with another 100 stars this evening. Thank you so much, Michael. Saying, great show tonight, Keith, Trevor, and Jody. Go Broncos. Love your prediction if you have one. Hopefully I didn't miss it there. But I got to get over to Trevor and his prediction. What are your thoughts, man? This is a big, like we said, big, huge game. Enemy territory, Kansas City. Can the Broncos get it done? What are your thoughts, Trevor?
Yeah, I mean, I think they can. Absolutely. I think this is a better opponent that you're matched up against in Kansas City, of course. Again, Mahomes is hurt. We'll see how that factors in this game, per se. He's had a little bit of time off, and I'm sure he hasn't practiced a ton this week, so to keep him off that ankle. But, I mean, again, contain Travis Kelce. He's their leading guy in targets right now with 54. So he's going to play a factor in this game at some point in time. You got to be able to cover him, whether it's the Broncos linebackers, like I mentioned earlier, or it's the safeties. Regardless, you have to take Travis Kelce out of the game if the Chiefs are going to throw the football around. Kareem Hunt, we shall see how they use him in this game and see if they can get the running game going against the Broncos. But again, until the Broncos can prove to me, I mean, again, there's something to build upon the wins that they've made, against the Saints in Carolina, and some other big time games this year. But for me, it's such a tough matchup still. 8-0 Kansas City Chiefs. I'm going to go with a 21-13 Chiefs win over the Broncos. I think the Broncos will make this game competitive. It's going to come down to the defense, in my opinion. And again, can Denver force turnovers against Mahomes? Mahomes, it seems like this year more than ever, has really thrown those interceptions and has been more prone to turn the football over. But I'm just worried about the Broncos offense. Can they move the ball against the Kansas City Chiefs defense? We shall see. If you can play a clean game and give yourselves a chance defensively, I think that this can definitely be a winnable game. But again, they have to prove it to me right now, on Sunday, that they can go on the road in Kansas City, which they haven't done in a long time, and win on the road in such a tough environment. I have the Chiefs winning 21-13, but hopefully I'm wrong. Hopefully that it ends up being a Broncos victory, because we would love to see that. I think it's a 8-game losing streak, I think, in Kansas City right now. So
that's the streak we need to lose.
Yeah.
Very good. Karen's optimistic, like I said, predicting a win. She's also saying the Chiefs don't know our young talent. They might get surprised here, and and I think that helps the Broncos get the win, in her opinion. Kenny's asking if Isaiah Pacheco is back, and I know he's not, the last time I heard as well. Harmon's coming in here and saying, keep dreaming, Broncos fans. Hilarious. Chiefs Kingdom, baby. Well, we always loved having some Chiefs Kingdom fans, some rival fans in here. The only thing we ask, A, be respectful, and B, come back in here after the game. Let's talk about it. We'll be respectful again, even if you happen to get that first loss of the season. Chiefs haven't lost since the Bronco POL. Anyway, you will not stop the 14-game winning streak. Oh boy, big words coming in here at the end of the night.
They already did.
The 14-game winning streak is over. The 8-game winning streak that they have at home, we're looking to beat. And Broncos fans, hey, I'm right there kind of with Trevor, but I'm also kind of right here with Jody. Like I said, this is a timeline type of game. I think this will tell us where the Broncos are at on a timeline. I think we saw an anomaly last week. I don't think what we saw in a 41-10 loss is something that we should expect every single week. That being said, I think the Broncos, if they're going to do something, I'm going to go on the opposite side of Trevor. He's saying until they prove it, I'm going to go ahead and predict a loss. I'm going to say this is where they need to prove it. And so I want to be behind them in what I think they can do, and that they will prove to the rest of the NFL that the Kansas City Chiefs at some point are going to lose a game. They've been in so many close scoring games. They're putting up like 2 touchdowns a game. They're not this unbeatable offensive opponent. It's all about being able to get through their defense and holding steady in this game. I'm going to be right on board with what Kenny said, comparatively to the Baltimore game, where I thought we had to be, an absolute, I don't know, we had to be putting up tons of points in order to be in a game. I think it's the opposite side of things. I think this has to be a low scoring game in order for us to get this win. So that being said, 17-21 Denver Broncos victory. That's where I'm at, man. 21-17 Denver Broncos. Oh, hey, that's just what oh no, Jody had a little bit higher. 27-17. I'm going 21-17. That's my final prediction. I think they get it done. Anybody that wants to come in post game, guess what? The Denver Bronco Roundup show, we're not just this Friday night, man. We go live every Tuesday, every Friday, and every Sunday right after the game. Make sure that you catch us right after this game. We're right here. We're on the Rocky Mountain Sports Network, or you can catch us over on the Denver Bronco Roundup as well. Just wanted to get that out before we say, and again, before we get out of here, thank you very much, Posse. And I got to get over to all to my horsemen here on the screen and get their goodbyes as well. So Trevor, I'm going to start off with you, man. Let's get out of here. We went a little bit long tonight, and just kind of rambling now.
Yeah, no, I appreciate everybody who, came in and chatted, whether you're a Broncos fan, Chiefs fan, regardless. I mean, we can be respectful. We can talk football. I picked the Broncos loss, but I think that this game is definitely more winnable and manageable than it was last week against Baltimore. They just need to prove it to me more. I just think that this team is still building, and I just don't know that they're quite on that Chiefs pedestal quite yet. I think there's still time to get there. And so, hopefully they prove me wrong and they go on the road and win. I just need to see more from this team, especially on the offensive side of the ball. I think it was an anomaly last week, maybe on the road against the Baltimore Ravens defensively for the Broncos. The offense still has some work to do, in my opinion. So that's why I just think it's going to be a tough game here to get a win. But just again, shout out to everybody who joined us tonight, and hope everybody has a great, safe weekend. Stay warm if it's snowing or if it's cold there, where everybody lives. But I hope everybody has a great weekend, and we'll see you back on here on Sunday. And good luck to both teams, honestly. And again, just thank you for everybody for the support as always. Hope everybody has a great weekend, and go Broncos.
Very good. Karen's in there talking some smack over there on YouTube and saying she'll do it with the best. She lived in the Chiefs kingdom for quite some time. Thank you, Karen. Appreciate it. And as always, go Broncos as you're getting out of here. But Jody, got to get some final thoughts from you. Get us on out of here. Running a little bit late. You're having a great show. And man, appreciate the posse, man. Viewership's been off the charts this evening. Appreciate you.
If you want to make the playoffs this year, this is a very important game. Quit letting Cincinnati hang around. At some point, they'll figure it out. Win this game and put that bad taste of last week away, and keep developing Bo Nix, and you're ahead of schedule anyways. This is all gravy anyways at this point, but get in the playoffs with a rookie, get him a taste of that, and keep him hungry for next year.
Yeah, I agree, man. I think that we've already got it ahead of schedule. I think there's a lot of things that we can be positive and look forward to. And I even mentioned it to you guys when we were talking about agenda. I felt that, when we looked at Sean Payton, he looked very confident heading into this game. I like that feeling. I think that the game planning for the Kansas City Chiefs, let's face it, when you start building a roster at the very beginning of the season, when you start putting together everything that you need to do, what are you looking to do first and foremost? You're looking to win your division. And who's in your division? The Kansas City Chiefs. This is the matchup. This is what you've been working for. This is one of the biggest games you're going to play as a Denver Bronco if you're on that roster. Let's go out there. Let's get it done. Can't wait to watch this game and then have that post-game reaction with all of you all that I know you're going to join in and be part of the posse. Thank you, everybody, man. I'm telling you what a fantastic night. Appreciate Morgan Trinkets, maybe, or Morgan Trinkets at AOL.com. You want to go over there and check them out. I'll be getting a new little pop-up so that we can be presenting that in the meantime. Thanks for everyone for hanging with us and getting through all this Facebook user type of stuff that we've been hanging with Sean, with StreamYard this evening. And man, appreciate my horseman that joined me this evening. Trevor, appreciate you very much, sir. Jody, thank you so much. There's only one way. And hey, just another reminder, every Tuesday, every Friday, 7:30 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, and then post-game right after the game. Make sure you jump in there. We have a quick 30-minute post-game reaction show. Love to have you all in there, including those of Chiefs Kingdom. Chiefs Kingdom, jump on in here. We'll talk. Win or lose, let's have a great conversation and be respectful. Appreciate all the conversation this evening. Hit that like button, says Karen. Appreciate that reminder as well. Like, share, subscribe, notification button. We get out of here one way and one way only. Make sure as always, keep those boots in the stirrups, keep those guns in the holsters, and as always, keep the Denver Broncos in your heart. We're going to get out of here. Have a great night, everybody. Can't wait to see you. Go Broncos.